Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was a huge hit for Nintendo and Zelda fans alike back in 2017. And even now, people are still enjoying it and playing it. Personally, for me, it became my favorite Zelda game of all time. So you can imagine my hype along with all others when a sequel was announced at E3 2019. This trailer was pretty wild. It showed off a lot of dark aspects that are going into the sequel, and we have commonly referred to this game as The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Although we only have one trailer and it seems to have a lot of mysterious aspects, we do know a good chunk about this game. And of course, we all want to know more about this title. But to get you set up for when that happens, I'm going to break down everything we know currently about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Hey everyone, it's HMK. I post Zelda content every week, so make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Share this information up with all your Zelda fanatics to make sure they're in the know. With that being said, let's dive right into the noise. Although we call it The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, it is currently under the working title only known as the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Calling it Breath of the Wild 2 is an easy way to mark this title with a temporary name, but a lot of fans are divided on that usage. But don't worry, it's not the official name. That confirmation has yet to be seen, and I hope we don't wait too long on this name just like we did with Zelda Wii U. Remember those days? For now, Breath of the Wild 2 will have to do, and personally, I think it sounds way better than dealing with Zelda Wii U. The game was revealed as the final title at Nintendo's E3 2019 presentation. Yeah, it's actually been a couple of months since The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 has graced our brains with its amazing presence. Nintendo already had a very strong presentation at E3 2019, and the fact that they dropped a full-on trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, finally revealing that a sequel is in development to the public, was a gigantic bombshell. Many fans and content creators alike went completely nuts at this reveal, and with it, the hype for Breath of the Wild started all over again. And while the game was revealed at E3 2019, it has been in development since at least October of 2017. Meaning, going into 2020, the game will be hitting 3 years of development. This is confirmed in the Legend of Zelda book Breath of the Wild Creating a Champion, known as Masterworks in Japan. On page 423, the Legend of Zelda series producer Eiji Aonuma states that the work of the next Legend of Zelda had already begun in an interview that was captured from Nintendo headquarters in October 2017. A common misconception about this is that he may have been referring to the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake for Nintendo Switch, which released in 2019. However, it was Grezzo that headed development of that game, and not Mr. Aonuma's team over at Nintendo EPD. As the working title suggests, this game is a sequel through and through. While there has been direct sequels to Legend of Zelda games in the past, such as Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time, A Link Between Worlds to A Link to the Past, which literally is called Triforce of the Gods 2 in Japan and other regions, so on and so forth. But never before has a Legend of Zelda game featured the same Link going back to the same world of Hyrule. In previous cases, it's always one or the other. But in this game, it will be the most direct sequel a sequel can get when it comes to the Legend of Zelda series, as Breath of the Wild 2 will be set in the same world of Hyrule from Breath of the Wild. A lot of people get that misconstrued. Eiji Aonuma confirms in an interview with Game Informer that this will indeed revisit the same Hyrule, as he really wanted to use the world of Breath of the Wild again for a sequel. While the world is the same, it is evident in the trailer that some changes may arise within the familiar land of Hyrule, especially with Hyrule Castle. And although we are revisiting the same Hyrule, that doesn't mean there won't be new areas to explore within this land, as it is heavily implied in the trailer to the game that we'll be traversing in previously unexplored caverns of what seems to be Hyrule's underground. And with all of that considered, while the world may be the same, the game will obviously feature a new story and new gameplay. Mr. Aonuma states with Game Informer is that he wanted to do something very special with the world of Breath of the Wild to create a new experience for fans. One aspect that many theorize could be part of this new gameplay is this mysterious energy that's being absorbed into Link's arm. Along with this, many fans request the return of missing items that were not in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. One such case is a fan favorite, the hookshot. And as for the new story, from what we see in the trailer, the catalyst to the unexplored narrative will be waiting for us deep below the ground. One very interesting aspect when it comes to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and its development team is that apparently a lot of the younger developers have been inspired by Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2. When talking with IGN, Eiji Aonuma confirms that a lot of the younger staff have been playing Red Dead Redemption 2, acting as a source of inspiration during development. A similar case was brought up with the original Breath of the Wild, where the director of the team was playing the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which drove his inspiration when developing the original title. It is very plain to see why Rockstar's sequel to their trademark open world western would inspire many people when it comes to another open world game, or for Nintendo's case, an open air game. But just how much inspiration will unfold in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 from Red Dead Redemption 2 is yet to be seen. When talking about the development team, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 will feature the same director from the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Hidemaru Fujibayashi. He also directed works such as Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, Four Swords, The Minish Cap, Phantom Hourglass as a sub-director, Skyward Sword, and of course, Breath of the Wild. With his impressive track record and the success he had with the original Breath of the Wild, it is plain to see why he will return to direct the direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. And with his success, many believe that when it's time to hand over leadership of the Legend of Zelda series, Aonuma may pass the torch over to Fujibayashi, just like how Miyamoto passed the torch on to Aonuma. Interestingly enough, the development of Breath of the Wild 2 originally started out as DLC ideas for the original Breath of the Wild. And while the only two DLC packs that actually materialized was the Master Trials and the Champion's Ballad, Mr. Aonuma and the Zelda team apparently had a ton of ideas when it came to DLC for the original Breath of the Wild. When speaking with Kotaku, Aonuma states, "Initially we were thinking of just DLC ideas, but then we had a lot of ideas and we said, this is too many ideas. Let's just make a new game and start from scratch." This wouldn't be the first time Nintendo took an approach where they had many unused ideas and decided to build a whole new game around that. Super Mario Galaxy 2 on the Wii experienced a similar situation. From what we experienced in the Master Trials and the Champion's Ballad, I believe it's safe to say that there's no shortage of creativity when it comes to how they can approach a Breath of the Wild sequel with ideas they had saved for the original. When it comes to what we see in the trailer, we have confirmations that Link and Zelda from the original Breath of the Wild will return in this game, although they have slightly altered designs, which in my opinion works very well for these two characters. Also making a grand return seems to be the corpse of a character that is heavily implied to be Ganondorf, the human form of the entity known as Ganon, the Legend of Zelda's trademark villain. His supposed return and inclusion has been met with critical acclaim from fans, as the last time that this character had appeared in an official Legend of Zelda game was in Twilight Princess, more than 10 years ago. It is currently unknown how this character winded up in a state like this, as it is apparent that his fate is very grim and very dark. When it comes to the aspect of how dark this trailer looked for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, Eiji Aonuma confirms that this game will be a tad darker than The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, which has been regarded to many in the Zelda community as the darkest Zelda game has ever been released, with Twilight Princess being a very heavy contender. When speaking with IGN, Eiji Aonuma had this to say: "The new Breath of the Wild, or the sequel to it, is not necessarily going to be related to Majora's Mask or inspired by it. What we showed you currently is a little darker." And from what we've seen in the trailer, I completely believe the producer of the Zelda series on this statement. And to wrap up everything, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is currently slated to be the 20th main title within the Legend of Zelda series. And currently, that is everything we know about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Considering all of that information and the strategy that Nintendo has employed over the years, I'm pretty sure that we won't have to wait that long in order to update this list with information based around the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Given that the Game Awards 2019 is very soon, and the fact that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has had a home at that show for 3 appearances, I am confident that we will learn more about this title at the 2019 show. I hope you enjoyed the video. Did you learn something? If so, please like the video and share to keep everyone in the know. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as I post Zelda content every week. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters for help making this video happen. If you want to find out how you can support HMK for just $1 a month, please check out my Patreon page. Alright guys, until the next Zelda video and information on Breath of the Wild 2, this has been HMK, and I'll check you guys later.